first thing I want to do is show you our website. It's at ou.edu/payroll. And on our website, we have I guess I can quit talking so loud because I hear myself echoing. We have a section called Workforce Time Systems. And if you click on that, it's going to tell you the reasons why we purchased a time system. Underneath that, we have our Go Live calendar, and that will show you the groups that are going to go live. You're Group 8. And that means you guys go live Saturday, or you Group 9? Group 8. Okay. So you'll be listed here with Group 8, and you'll notice we have 10 phases for our Go Live. We're very excited. We're at Group 8. That means we're almost done. Almost all of campus is live in the system. And down below, if you go to Group 8 and you click on the Department and Payroll Cycle hyperlink, you'll see all the names of the departments going live in this group. Underneath the Go Live calendar, we have our Workforce for Employees. And on this site is where you're probably going to want to go to after you go live and you're trying to remember how to do something. We have some short instructional videos. All the videos are less than 5 minutes that you can watch and it'll walk you through how to do something in the system. One of the things that I'm not going to cover today is how to amend your timesheet. It's less than 2 minutes, and it walks you through how to do it. And an amended timesheet is what we call today a backdated timesheet. So if you turned in your time for your 2-week pay period, and then you get your paycheck and you realize, I made a mistake, it's an amended timesheet. You go in and you amend your timesheet, and then once it's approved by your supervisor, we'll process it on the next payroll. We also have the employee manual that we included on the email that you received. And underneath that, you have quick guides. So if you didn't want to watch the video and you didn't want to dig through the manual to find how to do something, you can just pull up the quick guide on how to amend your timesheet, and you can just read the directions. One of these quick guides that I want to point out is how to bookmark or shortcut. When you go live on Saturday, you may or may not work Saturday, but maybe Monday when you come in, and you go to time.ou.edu, that's what you need to remember. It's time.ou.edu. You enter that on your internet browser. It's going to bring you to a single sign-on page, an OU single sign-on page, and you're going to enter your OU net ID and your password. Once you enter that information, it's going to take you, then it will take you to the time system. And what we normally do is we bookmark once we're in the page, right? When we bookmark, we just bypass single sign-on, and so when we try to sign in, we don't know what our username is and our password. So you have to follow the directions on the PDF on how to bookmark. But time.ou.edu isn't that long of a thing to type, and I usually just I save the bookmark, but I just type it in half the time, because it's just easier once I start typing it, it pulls it up, and I say, yeah, that's what I want. So up to you, but if you want to bookmark, you need to follow the directions. One thing I do want to make sure everybody knows is once you go live on Saturday, payroll is still here to help you. If you have questions, we do ask that you go to the website and see if you can find the answer. We have groups going live every other week, at least through December 8th, and we get a lot of emails. So you might get a response faster if you look at the website and try to find the answer yourself. But if you can't, you can email us at payroll@ou.edu. And we'll respond to you as quickly as we can, but just know it may not be the same day you email. I also want to mention the emails that you're going to receive. Once you go live this weekend, and I'm terrible at dates. So you guys are going to go live on the 10th. You'll receive your first email on November 26th, letting you know that it's time to submit your timesheet. You'll receive that on Monday at 8. So every other Monday, you'll receive an email at 8 a.m. letting you know you need to submit your timesheet. Submitting your timesheet, I'll show you how to do that. It's basically you signing off on your timesheet. If you do not submit by noon on Monday, you'll receive your second email. If you're a manager of hourly employees in the room, you'll receive your first email on that Tuesday or that Monday at 3 And if you haven't approved their time, you'll receive your second email on Tuesday at 8 a.m. Also, I want to mention that we moved the deadlines in December and November because we have to run those payrolls quickly, right? The system doesn't know that we're changing the dates. I don't believe you'll get the emails at all because we will have already closed the payroll by the time those emails will go out. But if you do receive an email after you've already submitted, just know it's probably because the system sent it and because it's on its schedule that it sends the emails out. We will be sending out emails letting you know your deadline's different because of the compressed payrolls. I think your first payroll, you're fine. I think it's after that we change them. So we'll let you know that, or at least supervisors, so supervisors can communicate. Okay, so this is the system. It'll look a little bit different because your logon page will be an OU logon page, and you'll just have your OU net ID and your password. I'm going to sign in as an hourly employee, and this is what your dashboard looks like. I don't know if anybody knows, but are you using the time clocks? You're just entering time, right? No time clocks? Okay, just wanted to make sure before I just totally disregarded it and didn't talk about it. This is what your dashboard is going to look like. So when you sign in, you'll see an area for time entry, one for reporting, schedules, leave balances, and then your employee leave requests. So I'm going to click on the timesheet, and this is what you would do to go and enter your time. And I'm probably going to need to jump forward because I know he has some time out there, and we're all doing training so we get on each other. Top of each other. I think I started to enter time for this week yesterday. Let me go to the next week, next pay period. Okay, so when you sign in the first time, it's going to be blank like this. No hours are going to be submitted for you. What you need to do on Monday when you come in is you're going to click on the please select, and you will select which pay code you're wanting to report to, just like you do on your timesheet today, except it's on a piece of paper and you record the total for the day. And worked in out is regular. So you're going to report on Monday that you came in at 8 a.m. So we put an A for AM, a P for PM. If you know military time and you're comfortable with using military time, it understands military time. And so we came in at 8 a.m. and we went to lunch at 11:30. We can save it. And then when we come back from lunch, we can say I came back at 12:30 p.m. And then when I work till 5, I can key in 5 p.m. Now I can do this as I go. So when I get here at 8, I can just say I came in at 8. And then when I go to lunch, I can enter I left for lunch. Or if you do the same thing every day, and you know I'm going to be here at 8, I'm going to go to lunch at 11:30, I'm going to be back at 12:30, I'm going to leave at 5, you can just enter it for the day because you know that's what you're going to do. And if you know you're going to do that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of this week, and you know you're going to do the same thing next week, I'll show you how you can do this very quickly. So you enter your Monday, and you can just click on the little plus sign where there's a down arrow and do copy the entire day. And I can go to Tuesday and I can paste it. Wednesday I can paste. Thursday I can paste. And then same on Friday. And then when I get to Friday, I can go back up here and I can say copy the entire week. And I can paste it on the next week. So now my time has been entered for the next 2 weeks. Just like Word and Excel, I have to save to keep my changes. If something were to happen and on Wednesday I had to work late, I can just come in on Wednesday and say, hey, I worked till 7. If for some reason on Thursday I had to leave early, I can change it to 3 p.m. and then I can insert another row and enter paid leave scheduled or unscheduled, whatever it is, and enter 2 hours and save my page. So it's pretty easy. One thing, I'm going to back up one pay period so I can show you. If you try to leave the page, it's going to tell you that you need to save your changes. So if you forget, it will question you. But if you'll notice, I have Let me take this off real quick. Holiday has already been populated for me. So all your holidays will be pre-populated based on your FTE. So if you're full-time, holiday will appear. Those 2 days over winter break where we have to take 2 days of paid leave scheduled, those are pre-populated for you. You don't have to key them in. The week before winter break, where you have that week of the 7th, so the 17th through I think the 21st, we have to estimate our hours worked. Let me just jump over there and show you what it looks like. We've already pre-populated estimated hours for you. So we're estimating that you're going to work 8 hours per day. Now, if you know you're going to do something different, go ahead and make the change. The reason why we did the estimated hours is for our benefits eligible employees, we want to make sure we pay you for that week. And if you forget to go and enter it, we want to make sure you get paid. And you can always do an amended timesheet after the break to fix it if we did something wrong. But you can come in, if I knew on Tuesday I'm going to go be out on paid leave scheduled, I can just key in 8 hours and save it, and the system will know I'm using all of my 8 hours, and it took away my estimated hours. Only estimated hours will do that. So holiday will keep holiday in there. But this just, know this is coming up really, really quick, what the estimated hours are for. And just go make your changes. If you know what you're going to do, fix it. It's just there to make sure we get you paid. Another thing, let me jump back to where I was. That's where I was. If you have overtime, do you guys pay overtime or do you comp it as bank? Do you do both? Okay. So if my department's policy is that I receive overtime, I don't have to do anything. It's just going to pay me the overtime. And if I look at my messages down here at the bottom, it's going to tell me that overtime has been earned and I can bank it as comp time. I'm not required to, but I can. So if my department policy is that I just get paid overtime, you just enter your hours and you don't have to do anything else. But if you had that discussion with your supervisor and your supervisor told you we need to bank it as comp time, then you do need to do something. So it's telling me on Friday, November 30th, that it recognizes that I have overtime. So what I need to do is go to that date, which is Friday, November 30th. I also have my yellow push pin here. I'm going to insert a row on Friday, and I'm going to select comp time banked. And it's also telling me to bank 3 hours. I only have 2 hours of overtime, but it's doing the math for me. So 2 times 1.5 is 3. So I need to key in 3 hours. And once I save that, my message is going to change. And it's going to tell me that I banked it, but my supervisor has to approve it. And that's because some areas on campus do not allow their employees to have comp time. So their supervisors has to approve it to say yes. So we have to make it consistent. So if your supervisor does not approve the comp time, we're just going to pay you overtime. But if they approve it, then it will show in your bank. Does anybody have any, another thing that we automatically do? If the university closes for inclement weather, a full day of inclement weather, we will enter those for you as well. If it's a partial day, we will not, because we don't know what shift you work. We don't know if you've taken a lunch break or not. So we'll have you do partial day of admin, but if it's a full day, we'll pre-populate that for you. Does anybody have any questions on how to enter your time that you worked? Okay. I've been looking at the message tab. You need to read your messages, see what it's saying. A lot of the times it's telling you, it knows if you're a 1.0 FTE, it's expecting you to work 40 hours a work week. If you don't have 40, it's going to give you a message that says, hey, you don't have 40 hours in for the week. And if you exceed it, it's going to tell you you exceeded 40. And it's really just informational to you to make sure that you keyed in your time correctly. It will also do that on a daily basis as well. We expect you to work 8 hours a day. If you work 10, and if it's correct, then it's fine. You don't have to do anything. It's just bringing it to your attention so that you can make sure that you didn't make a typo. The results tab for hourly employees will show you your pay. Notice I still have the overtime on here, but that's because my supervisor hasn't approved it as comp. Once my supervisor approves it as comp time, then the overtime will go away. I have my hours, my rate of pay, and you notice on the comp time rate it's at a 1.5 rate, and my gross pay. I can also look at the bottom to see my gross pay for the pay period, as it is right now. Just know this doesn't include sooner credits or any additional pay you might be receiving that's not on your timesheet, but it gives you an idea of what you're going to make based on the hours that you've turned in. Schedules, you're not using that, so it will always be kind of grayed out. Yeah, it looks kind of with the lines on it, so it'll always look like that. The time off tab shows you what your balances are. Now, this is your balance as of this pay period. You haven't received your accrual yet, but it does reflect the time that you've taken during this pay period. So you can do the show details, and it's already showing the 2 hours that I turned in on the 29th. It's already showing that my balance. So if I want to know what my balance is, it's up to date right here. Any comp time I accumulate, it will appear here. Once my supervisor approves it, it will appear in my bank. Any banked holidays that I might have will appear here as well. Does anybody work on a holiday? I didn't show that yet. You work on a holiday? Do you bank it to take it later? Okay. Let me show you how to do that. I forgot to show that. So, where's our holiday? I guess it's the week before. So when we pre-populate the holiday and you work on that date, leave the holiday there. Don't take it off. But show that you worked. So you're going to show what you actually worked, but I'm just going to do 8 to 4 because then I don't have to do a lunch break. Once I key it in and I save it, the system's going to give me a message that says, hey, we noticed you worked on a holiday. Do you want to bank it? And all you have to do is say, yes, I want you to bank it, and I click this acknowledge form right here and save my page. Then the 8 hours goes in my holiday bank, and I can take it later. We have the acknowledgement because some departments have they double pay you if you work on a holiday. So that's why you have to acknowledge it and say, yes, I want to bank it for later. If you don't, it will double pay you. So your supervisor will probably catch it if they want you to bank it. You'll notice this little 12 right up in the corner. If you click on it, it's going to show you the hours that we've reported in this pay period. This is a bad example. Let me jump over to the one I keyed in over here, I think it was. I can see my total hours, and my calendar went away, didn't it? Where'd it go? Oh, there it is in the middle. I wasn't seeing that. Blind. But it shows me the hours that I work per day. So it's a quick glance to make sure that you keyed everything in correctly. The Act Balances tab will show me my FMLA, and I can track how many FMLA hours it's really by week, so how many FMLA weeks I've used and how many I still have available to me. Just know we did not bring in history for FMLA, so if you've taken off on FMLA in the last 12 months, it will not be reflected here. But if you haven't taken FMLA and you have to go out in the spring, you'll be able to track how many FMLA weeks you have still available to you. And I just realized I jumped and I forgot to mention on the time off tab, everyone has 240 hours of military leave. I just want to stress that military leave is only for our men and women who serve in the military. So if you're not in the military and you turn in military leave hours, we're going to be asking for your orders, right? And the reason why it's on everyone is because we don't know who at the university is actually serving. And when they have to go away for training in the summer, sometimes they're deployed. They haven't been able to see how many hours they still have remaining to them. And we wanted to give them that ability. That's why it's on everyone. Just know, don't use it unless you're really going out for a military reason. Also, when you go live, right here where it says show all weeks, there's a little box and it's clicked on. This will not be selected. And I can only see 1 week at a time, and I have to click up here to the next week. If you want to be able to scroll both weeks, you need to select the show all weeks. I've showed you the save button. You need to save every change that you make. It will be blue when there's nothing to save, but it will be an orangey yellow whenever you need to save something. The submit button is the button that you're going to press at the end of the pay period. So when you get that email that says you need to submit your timesheet, this is what it's talking about. Once you press submit, it will gray out the screen and I can't make any more changes. But you'll notice my submit button changed to recall. So if I realize that I made a mistake we've had a lot of people that submit it early and then they didn't mean to, they did it on accident. I think they were trying to save and they hit submit. All you have to do is hit the recall button. As long as your supervisor has not approved your timesheet, the recall button will be there. Once they've approved it, then you're totally locked out. You can't recall it. You can't go to your supervisor and ask them to unapprove it. Once they unapprove it, then you can recall, you can make your change and then resubmit. So all I have to do is just press recall and it will open back up. The more button allows us to refresh our page or allows us to print. Now we are going to ask that you not print your timesheets. They're in the system. You can look at them at any time, back up and review them. But we do know that some people feel more comfortable with having their own copy. If that is you, we ask that you print it to a PDF and you save it to a flash drive. Don't print it on paper. Also, right now I have this in a list view where I can scroll down. I have all my dates down and my pay codes. I can change it to a table view where it has my pay codes on the left and my days of the week are across. So whichever view you prefer, you can select that. Any other questions on the timesheet itself? Yes? You're going to, when you report time, you're going to report the actual time that you worked. So if you worked till 8, you're going to show I worked till 8. And then when you bank it, you're going to record the number of hours it tells you to record, which is the time and a half. Make sense? If I take this off, let me just delete that again. It knows I worked 42 hours that week. And that's when it brings up the message that says you have overtime and you can bank it, and it's the 3 hours here, so that's the time and a half. So when you bank it, you bank 3. If you just bank the 2, then it's going to tell you still have an hour you can bank. So you want that message to change totally to it's been banked, but you need approval. Any other questions on how the timesheet works? Yes?
How do you do the opposite? How do you take the comp time?
Comp time? I don't know if he has any in his account. He doesn't. But all you do, if I wanted to, instead of taking paid leave, which I did something weird, I clicked something, but I would just select comp time and take it. Yes? It will be in the system. Just know that you're going to be one pay period behind on your accrual because we haven't ran the pay period this week and last week's payroll yet, so we don't know what you accrued and what you took. You will see payroll enter that adjustment at a later date where we'll give you that accrual, or what we'll do, it'll either be a positive or a negative depending on whether or not you accrued more than you took or you took more than you accrued. Yes? For time off, if you do it through the approval process, it'll automatically populate it.
Okay. And then if you have overtime, you leave it.
If you have overtime and your department says we just pay overtime, we don't do comp, you just leave it. Yeah, you don't have to do anything. Right. Any other questions on the timesheet and how it works? Okay. You also have reports available to you that you can run that you haven't had in the past. You won't have any under schedule reports because you're not using schedules, which a schedule basically says that you always work this and it's tracking whether you're late or early. You're not doing that. It's really for people that use a time clock. The time off reports shows employee absences. So you can run a report to see when you've been absent from work. You can also run an accrual history to see what your accrual has been. You also have some timesheet reports. The employee timesheet is going to show you everything that you entered on that timesheet, so all your in-out times. The audit is the one I want to show you this morning. This report will show you if anyone touched your timesheet other than you. So you can back up, the 26th was the end of a pay period, so you're going to put a pay period end date for the one you're wanting to look at. And you just click the Run button. It's going to ask me how do I want that, the results. Do I want them in a PDF, an Excel, a CSV, HTML? CSV is not always an option. If it's not, it will be grayed out. I'm just going to run it. It's going to open up here at the bottom, and maybe not. See, maybe it will. Hopefully, cross your fingers. So this one, obviously, he didn't have time. Let me go see if I can run a different pay period on him. Let me shut that down. There we go. Let me back up, because I know we were, I think the 17th is the pay period and date. So it shows every time your timesheet was changed. So it will let you know if it was inserted by a user, whether it was updated, which means they changed something, whether or not they deleted it. There are also times when you'll see, and not on this one, but it'll say generated by system and something like that. If it says generated basically by the system, that's when it's inserting your holidays, any of your admin leave, your paid leave schedule. The system has received, it's done its calculations and it's determined it needs to insert something. When you use the leave request system, it will show generated by the system as well, because you went in and you made the request, you submitted it, your supervisor approved it, and the system put it on your timesheet. But for the rest of it, it's going to show you that someone entered it. So this is a report. If you ever want to know what's happened to your timesheet, if it looks different than what you expect, you can run the report. You can also make these favorites by clicking on the star, and they'll appear in your favorites tab. Recently viewed are the ones that I've pulled up recently, and my scheduled reports are any reports that I have scheduled to run automatically. And you can do that on any of the reports. Just be sure you don't use the pay period end date where you key in a specific date, because if you do, it's always going to run that pay period end date, which is probably not what you're wanting. You want to click this bottom one and say so many days before the run date. So if you're running it on Mondays, then you probably want to do 3 days before the run date. I'm guessing, I haven't actually tried this, so. And then you click the schedule button, and to me it's a lot like Outlook when you're setting up a reoccurring appointment. So I would say I want to do it weekly, every 2 weeks, on Monday, starting and ending, and there's no end date. And then I just create my schedule. I need to put who I'm sending it to, so my email address, what the subject might be, body, all that good stuff, and then I can create it. And it will automatically generate that report. I don't even have to go in and ask that it run. Do you guys have any questions on how to run a report? Pretty easy. So the next thing is under schedules is my time off. And this is where you're going to go to request time off from your supervisor. Now, I have a lot of people ask me, well, what if I'm just wanting to take leave early? Well, you don't have to make a leave request to leave early. You can just enter that on your timesheet. So just like you do now, you go in and tell your supervisor, my kid's sick, I need to leave, and they say, okay, and you go and enter it on your timesheet, say I left early. But if you're wanting to take off a few days, you can come in and just click the Create New Request. And hopefully it's going there. And I'm going to be given 2 options. On the left-hand side is when I want to take FMLA because I have a medical condition or a medical reason I need to be out, whether it be for me or for someone in my family. Or on the right-hand side is when I just want to take my vacation time. So I'm going to go into the FMLA side first. And it's going to ask me for an estimated start date, an estimated end date, and a reason. They're predefined. So if I come in and I see that I have predefined reasons, then I know I might be in the wrong spot if I'm just trying to take vacation. But if I'm asking off for FMLA, I'm exactly where I need to be. So the paper form that we submit now, you don't have to do. You just complete this. And based on the reason that you select, you'll be asked specific questions. Just know you're talking to HR. Payroll cannot see that this is even in here. We have no idea whether you've requested it. You're only communicating between Vanessa and HR. So I'm not wanting to request FMLA, so I'm going to discard my request. It's going to ask me if I'm sure I want to do that and say, yep, I want to leave the page. Yes?
Is that in place of doing FMLA paperwork you requested?
Correct.
So what about the documents you know?
All of that you'll still have to submit, but you don't have to complete that form to request FMLA. This does that.
Vanessa will then get in touch with the employee.
Yes. I think they're doing it by email. I'm not 100% sure.
Will it automatically deduct from ESL if you have to use Fmla?
If you have to use FMLA, it will deduct the 40 hours from paid leave, and then it will start deducting from extended sick leave. And it does look different on your timesheet. So I recommend looking at your results tab. That's where it's really showing you what it's doing, because it'll say a leave of absence, and when you go to the results, it'll show it's using the paid leave and the extended sick leave. So look at your results tab if you have to go out. I didn't go over the current and the past tabs, but the past tabs are all my requests I've made in the past that have already passed today's date. So it's in the past. And the current are the ones that are either pending or they've been approved where the start date hasn't been reached or the end date hasn't been reached. And then if it's rejected or canceled, the start date hasn't been reached yet. So I'm going to click the Create New Request again, and on the right-hand side, I'm just going to request some time off. I'm going to click Continue. And on the next page, it's going to allow me to select a pay code. Unless I know I'm going off and asking off for next week or the week after, I probably would just do my scheduled leave. Even though I might have comp time or holiday on the books, it will make me take comp time and holiday first before I can use my paid leave. But if I'm asking off 3 months from now, I may not have any comp time or holiday left. So I just use paid leave, and then I can make that adjustment on my timesheet. It will be red at the bottom telling me I have to use my comp time and my holiday first. And I'm just going to select a date out in the future. We'll just take off. Well, let's take off this week. You can put anything in the comments. Just be sure that, or you can leave it blank. Just be sure what you do put in the comments is professional, because it is a record now, right? Also, you'll notice I have a graph at the bottom, and my graph is showing all the time in the dark green that's already been approved. If I had any that was pending, which I don't, it would be a light green little bubble, and it would show that. But you'll notice how my graph is going up and down. It's projecting out my leave, which is something you haven't been able to see before. You kind of had to do the math. But I can just scroll over to October 29th of 2019, and based on what I've done so far, not this request, but based on what I have there right now, I'll have 220.8 hours in my paid leave account. I can also click over here, look at my comp. I can click at all of these and see where my balances fall. It's something you haven't had, which I think is awesome. I look at mine all the time. Just click Next when you're ready. Your dates are the way you want them to be. And it's going to take me to a page where I can now adjust it. So if I really am going to work 4 hours on that Monday, I'm only going to take 4 of paid leave, I can change it to 4, I can change it to 2, I can change it to 1. I can change it to anything. I've said 4 before, and then everybody thinks that's all they can do. But no, you can do whatever hour that you need to take for paid leave. So if you're working half day all that week, you can go and change them all to a 4. Whatever hour you need to, or hour increments you need to use a paid leave, you can adjust it. And I can update it. I can also, if I knew I had comp time on the books and I wanted to take it, I can insert another row and make this comp. It's going to tell me I don't have any, but and then make 4 hours of paid leave. So you can adjust this however you want to use your hours. So I'm going to delete that because it's going to tell me I don't have it. So we just get in that loop, and it's best to just ignore it. But now that I have this request in, you can see it's showing now. This is my request. If it's in yellow, it's the current request. And notice how it's adjusted my balance now. I think it was October 29th. Now it's showing 184.81 because it's subtracting the hours that I've submitted here, or I'm about to submit. So if everything is the way that you want it, it's also giving me a view up here. I'm using 36 hours. As of February 4th, I have 63.10 hours. By the end of that week, I'll be down to 27.1. So if everything looks good, I just click the submit button. And when it comes back, it's going to tell me it was successfully submitted. And that means my supervisor received one email. That's all they get is one, letting them know that I've asked for time off. Now, I can see on my dashboard that I have a request that's pending. So if there was a reason and I needed to make sure that they get that taken care of quickly, I can always watch it. And if it's not approved and the date's getting close, I can go and say, hey, can I take that time off? Because I need to get a flight, an airline ticket, or whatever. I need to book that hotel. I just want to make sure I'm going to be able to take this week off. So you have that ability. They also can see it on their dashboard. On the My Calendar, all this does is it pulls up a calendar screenshot of when I'm going to work or not work this month. So I can see that I'm off on Thanksgiving. You'll notice it says Thanksgiving and then it says time off. If you click on it, it's time off as holiday. It's putting the federal holidays out there. I think that's blue. And then ours show up as just time off. It also shows you how many hours you're taking that day. So that's your calendar. And you also have leave balances. So as of today, I have 8 hours in my holiday bank, and I have 31 hours in my paid leave bank. Do you guys have any other questions on how this works? Yes?
How do you correct a leave request? For example, I requested 8 hours of leave, but I only took 4.
You would just go in on your timesheet and change it. And I probably would put something in my comments that said I had to come in and work 4 hours, adjusting to reflect that. So I would go in on, I don't know what date I might have 8 hours of scheduled leave on, but let's see. Oh, right here. Well, I have 6 and I'm using comp. Well, I do right here. So I ended up coming in and working. I can just change this to 4, and then I can change this to worked in out and say I work from 8 to noon. And then save it. But do put something in the comments. That way, if your supervisor's looking back and they go, I had you down as being off all day, you have something in your comments to refresh your memory that says, oh, yeah, don't you remember I had to come in? That would be the reason why I would put something in the comments.
So we can put those on the comment.
Yes, I should show you that. Going to Disney, had to work. At Disney. That's where I wish I could work every day, but no. And you notice I have a red arrow right here. My comp is exhausted. That's why I normally don't enter my comp time, because I don't know on the request, because I don't know what's going to happen. Someone used my comp time that I had in my example, so I have nothing. So I really just need to, I can just delete this and then change my, it'll let me, and then change this back to 8. And save it. Now my error should go away. Any other questions? All right, if you are not a supervisor, you are free to go.